If you met me today, you would probably never know. You could have a conversation with me. I could make you laugh. We could talk about politics, consciousness, neuroscience, love, human behavior, or whatever strange rabbit hole my brain decided to wander into that day. You might notice that I think about things a little differently, but you probably wouldn't look at me and think, that person survived a catastrophic brain injury. You wouldn't know that in 2015, my life split into a before and an after. You wouldn't know there was a point when doctors measured my level of consciousness at a Glasgow Coma Scale of 3. 3 is the bottom of the scale. You wouldn't know that my brain went without enough oxygen to cause a severe anoxic brain injury. You wouldn't know about the coma, the ventilator, the tracheostomy, the feeding tube, the rehabilitation. You wouldn't know there was a period of my life when other people were documenting my existence for me because I wasn't capable of remembering it myself. There are days from that period that I know happened because they're written in medical records, not because I remember being there. And yet, if you met me today, you would never know. That's a strange sentence for me to say, because part of me is incredibly grateful that it's true. And another part of me has spent more than a decade living with the consequences of it. When people imagine brain injury, I think we tend to imagine something visible. Someone who can't speak, someone who can't walk, someone who obviously needs help. And those disabilities are very real. But there's another version that's much harder to see. Sometimes a person recovers enough that the evidence of what happened begins disappearing from the outside. Their speech comes back. Their movement comes back. Their personality comes through. They laugh again. They make jokes. They hold conversations. And eventually people start looking at them and thinking, they're better. But better is a strange word, because better doesn't necessarily mean back to the way you were before. Sometimes better means you've learned how to live inside what came afterward. My physical recovery was remarkable considering where I started. Eventually, I breathed without the ventilator. The trach came out. The feeding tube came out. I ate again. I walked again. Eventually, I left inpatient rehabilitation. Those were enormous signs of recovery. But there's another part of my medical records that I understand much better now than I did then. My body started looking recovered before all of my cognitive abilities had recovered. When I left rehabilitation, there were still documented problems with things like memory, attention, reasoning, and decision-making. Later testing documented problems with processing speed, memory, concentration, and executive functioning. And that's where brain injury gets strange, because intelligence isn't one switch. Memory isn't intelligence. Processing speed isn't intelligence. Attention isn't intelligence. Executive function isn't intelligence. You can understand something complicated and forget something simple 5 minutes later. You can have something meaningful to say and struggle to find the word you want to say it with. You can function incredibly well for an hour and discover that maintaining that level of functioning for 8 hours is something completely different. You can look capable while quietly using routines, reminders, technology, and repetition to accomplish things another brain might do automatically. And eventually, even you can forget how much compensation you're doing, because it just becomes your life. I think that's one reason invisible disability is so difficult for people to understand. Human beings judge each other using snapshots. We meet someone for 20 minutes. They seem fine, they speak clearly, they understand us, they laugh. And our brain quietly fills in everything we can't see. They seem fine, therefore, they must be fine. But you're watching 20 minutes. You're not watching the other 23 hours and 40 minutes. You're not seeing how long something took them. You're not seeing the preparation. You're not seeing the recovery afterward. You're not seeing the reminders. You're not seeing what they've learned to avoid. And you're definitely not seeing the neurological effort required to produce the person standing in front of you. More than a decade after my injury, my brain still carries evidence that something happened. A brain MRI in 2025 describes cerebral volume loss greater than expected for my age, along with chronic white matter abnormalities. A follow-up MRI in 2026 again documented cerebral and cerebellar atrophy and white matter changes. It also found no significant change from the previous MRI. but I want to be careful about what that means. An MRI cannot explain a person. It can't look at my brain and tell you exactly what I think. It can't tell you everything I'm capable of. It can't tell you what I'm going to struggle with tomorrow. And it definitely can't tell you who I'm going to become. My brain scan is evidence. It isn't my identity. Because there's another piece of evidence too. Me. I'm still here. And that's actually part of why I'm making these videos. For a long time after my injury, I wasn't entirely sure what I was supposed to do with everything that happened to me. I survived. But surviving something doesn't automatically hand you an instruction manual for what comes next. Eventually, I started realizing that the things I couldn't stop thinking about might actually be the things I should talk about. Consciousness, the brain, love, human behavior, why we believe what we believe, how easily we judge one another, what happens to identity when your life suddenly divides into a before and an after, and what it actually means to be a human being during this incredibly strange little window of time we're given. So I started making videos, not because I have everything figured out. I absolutely do not. I'm making them because I have questions, a lot of them. And because after everything that happened, I started wondering whether the perspective I came back with might be worth putting into the world, even if only a few people hear it at first. And there's something else I want you to know. I'm a real person. There is actually a guy behind this voice. I'm not trying to create some mysterious, faceless internet philosopher who permanently lives inside your phone, although apparently that's temporarily what I've become. Someday I want to get on camera. I want to sit down and actually talk to you. I want you to see the person telling these stories, instead of only hearing my words. I'm just not there yet, and I'm okay with that. This is part of the process too. I'm learning how to tell stories. I'm learning how to make videos. I'm learning how to take thoughts that have lived inside my head for years and turn them into something another person can understand. Maybe one day I'll turn the camera around, but I don't need to force myself there before I'm ready. For now, this is where I am, and you're hearing me. That's enough. There's a strange assumption we sometimes make about recovery. We imagine the goal is to become the person you were before something happened. I'm not sure that's possible. Maybe it isn't even the right goal. I don't think I'm exactly the person I was before February 2015. Some parts of him are obviously still here. Some parts changed. Some things became harder. And some things I understand now that I don't think I could have understood before. There are probably changes I still don't completely recognize, because there's something profoundly strange about trying to understand your own brain injury. The instrument I'm using to understand what happened is the same instrument that was injured. Think about that for a second. I'm using my brain to understand what happened to my brain. There isn't another version of me standing somewhere with the answer key. There's just me, trying to understand myself from the inside. But here's something I have learned. Recovery isn't always broken, then fixed. Sometimes it's injured, adapted, compensated, rebuilt. Sometimes the brain finds another road. Sometimes you build systems around what doesn't work the way it used to. Sometimes you become extremely good at something nobody realizes you're compensating for. And sometimes you discover abilities in yourself that you might never have needed to develop if your life had gone according to plan. That doesn't make what happened to me a gift. I don't need to romanticize it. I nearly died. People who loved me went through hell. I lost things. There were consequences. There still are. But something doesn't have to be good for something meaningful to grow from it. Those are two very different things. And maybe that's the real reason I'm making these videos. I can't change what happened then. I can't go back to February 22nd, 2015 and take a different road. But I can decide what I do with February 23rd and everything that came after it. I can take the questions this experience left me with and ask them out loud. I can talk about consciousness. I can talk about love. I can talk about disability. I can talk about the strange machinery of the human mind. I can challenge things I think we're getting wrong. And maybe every once in a while, I can make somebody stop scrolling long enough to think about something differently. That's enough reason to start. Because here's what I keep coming back to. If you met me today, you would never know. You wouldn't know about the hospital room. You wouldn't know about the machines. You wouldn't know about the rehabilitation. You wouldn't know about the memories that aren't there. You wouldn't know what my family watched happen. You wouldn't know what disappeared. You wouldn't know what came back. You wouldn't know what I had to rebuild. You would just meet me. But while I've been thinking about this video, I've realized something. I'm probably not unique in that way. Maybe you've met someone recently who seemed distant. Maybe someone forgot something you thought they should remember. Maybe someone canceled plans again. Maybe somebody couldn't handle something that looked easy to you. Maybe somebody behaved in a way you didn't understand. And maybe, without realizing it, you decided you knew why. We all do it. But you were seeing a snapshot. You weren't seeing their whole life. You weren't seeing what happened before they walked into the room. You weren't seeing what it took for them to get there. So, maybe the lesson isn't, if you met me today, you would never know what happened to me. Maybe it's this. If you met almost anyone today, you would never know everything that happened to them. And maybe remembering that would make us a little slower to judge, a little more curious, a little more patient, a little more human, because every person you meet is carrying a history you cannot see, including me. For now, you just hear my voice. Maybe someday you'll see my face too. I'm working on it, but either way, I'm here. And after everything it took to be able to say that, I think that's a pretty good place to start.